Hello.
How are you doing, Matthew?
Very well, thank you. You?
Did you listen to that?
I did, and honestly, I was shouting at the screen about 4 or 5 times at some of the things that Stan goes on about.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might be the case.
You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rose-tinted spectacles, do you think?
Yeah. I've never played in the lowest team, even with Ryan Harris's bowling, and Andrew McDonald with 3 slips, so God knows why you were at third slip at Riston. He probably should have been at third man, but we're still shouting at Shaw.
Still ambling down.
Yeah, so that's probably the reason.
Gordon, send more house to save the house. Come on, the house!
Welcome to Housecast episode 5. Can you believe we've done 4 episodes already? We seem to have got in the swing of things. Again, it's Adam. I'm not going to be present on this episode, but the last episode was so long we decided to split it into 2. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Johnny, Art Caterers, Milltown Pies. We'll put a link in the description. And you can catch up with our back catalogue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and SoundCloud. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts because it will help. Enjoy the episode.
Can I just mention, it was actually Gullah. Stan was at Gullah. And what went on, Tony Woodworth was playing. So obviously he tells it fantastically well. And it was actually Blaise who, you know, we can laugh and joke. It's not like being stood in a pub where we've got 5 or 6 hours. But it was Blaise that was speaking to probably mid-off, whoever it was, and pointing and saying, what's Stan doing there? We don't want Stan there. We've got to move Stan from there. And I'm concentrating. It was a really good day for cricket. Pitch was nice and hard. There was a little bit of a breeze. You know, what you got out of your bowling, you know, you put into it. And I'm thinking, right, I'm up for this. First ball, bing, just a big outside edge, straight to Stan, and it goes down. I'm not sure it was 6'2" away from him, but, you know, why spoil a good tale with the truth? And then straight away from then, Tony Woodworth and Blaise got into this. Oh, let's get him down to third man. And I threw my teddies out, which I always did when I was bowling, when I was getting angry. So that's where the story came from, Matt.
Okay, so we've got Matt on primarily to have a bit of a focus on 2004. The floor will be yours in a minute, Matt, but we're just going to go around Joe and Jez first because I know they've just pulled a few key bits out of 2004, and then we'll hand over to you. So, Joe, do you want to go first?
I was 10 in 2004, and I can remember only small parts of it. I can remember us winning maybe the first 5 games. Or 6, maybe even 6 games. Jez will be able to. I can remember that it was a big. I remember it being like a headline in the paper. I can obviously remember the cup final as well. When I've looked back through the scorecards and the season, what I did sort of notice was how sort of the team had changed from 2002, so 2 years previous. You know, having the likes of Finchy and Benbow, Matt. You know, you were playing. Although you didn't bowl many overs, that was something I did jot down.
We'll talk about that, Joe. We'll talk about that.
All right, okay. And having Vishal opening the batting and Blaise, it looked like it was a really quality team that really could have won the league, I think, if, you know, things might have gone slightly differently. But obviously we won the cup instead. There's some of my initial thoughts, and I'm sure some more will come out as we begin a chat.
Okay, Jez.
I mean, obviously, you know, Matt's got, you know, he was captain through that season, and looking at it, and really, because we've all got time on our hands now, of going through it, there's not a great deal jumps out where you can say, crikey, remember that game, or, you know, this happened, or there was that, you know, funny stories that happened. It wasn't like that at all. But I don't think, you know, and it'd be difficult to go through every season over, I don't know, the last 50 years. We can't have had a more settled side than we had that year. Even when, you know, the success came to us in 2011, 2012 and onwards, I don't think we've had whether that's good luck or good management on Matt and the selection committee's point of view, We only had, I think, with 19 amateurs that played, and there's probably 5 of them that only played 1 or 2 games. A couple of little highlights, Matt, and I'm sure you will expand on them when you're going to talk us through the season. We beat Burnley 3 times. Joe Beneducci flagged that up 2 or 3 days ago. It's fantastic, and we didn't come close to beating in those games. One was in the cup. With a game at Enfield where there was a tie. With only 1 no result, 2 replayed games. We finished 5th, which wasn't bad compared with how we performed for the decade or so before, with a relatively new side. None of us have mentioned yet, 2 Metre Peter. You look when he came, and again, Matt, I'd like to hear your opinion of him. For me, he was a very nondescript, very good cricketer, obviously well thought of in New Zealand, but came into our side almost like a great amateur. But you look at his bowling, he got through some overs, that lad, and he wasn't a bowler.
No.
He ploughed through some overs. Benbow came to us, got 58 wickets in his first season with us. That is some achievement. Sid played his first year. Vishal played his first year and probably got 600 runs. So there was some great memories as I've looked through that, and there's lots of other stuff I've seen there. But I don't know what, Joe, have you anything? Dooch, have you anything around?
No, I think we can bring Matt in here now, I think, can't we? So right at the beginning of the season, like Joe points out, we won the first 6 on the rip. Matt, I don't know what were going through your mind at that stage. I can remember what I was thinking when we walloped Nelson on that 6th game. What were your thoughts on that early part of the season?
We'd had a couple of instances in the past going back in the poor times when we ended up coming middle of the table, bottom of the table. We had a couple of good starts in a few years as 3 and 4, but we never looked as strong as we did that year with Finch and Vishal opening, Fulton at 3, Blaise 4, Charlie, Benbow, yourself, all looking really, really, really strong. And I did honestly think, I always thought Aslan, who ended up winning it, were very, very strong, and they had the young John Simpson, Dearden, Ingham was still playing, Knowles, Barry. So they're always strong. But I think that's probably one of the first years I'd noticed the professionalism or the change in attitude. And I don't think it was anything I did, whether it was Stan not playing and going into running the cricket and putting it in that way, because Stan was involved in the selection in that side. Not because Stan stopped playing. No. That he got more professional and better, but the input he put in from outside. Obviously, Benbow, great signing. Vishal didn't need any really introduction. Finchy was that his first year or second year, I think. Wasn't it?
Second year, yeah. He came in 2003. Tiffer was 2004.
Yeah. So having them 2 lads, 2 and then Finchy for a 3rd year, were a massive plus. I did, although Fultz got through a hell of a lot of overs and was a lot better bowler than I thought he was going to be, or did a lot better than I thought he was going to be. He wasn't a genuine all-rounder who was going to tear through sides and win us. Although he did win us a couple of games with the ball, he wasn't going to go and bowl Aslan and I, you know what I mean, or regular way like Andrew McDonald did and Ryan Harris and Francois did when he came. So that was the only concern. I didn't know whether we'd have the depth in bowling, although Tiffer came in and did a great job. But it's little things, and it must have been something down to maybe Jez's age, Jez's injuries. Sid Riaz bowled more overs than me and Jez put together. That was always the case, always the case as captain. You always let someone else do it before yourself. Me and Jez must have had umpteen conversation about this, and I know Stan was involved in when I relinquished the captaincy halfway through the year to let Jez do it because it was affecting my performances. You always let someone else do it, Joe. It was really weird, and even subconsciously we'd go out and me and Jez would say, right, Matt, when I'm bowling, you look after it. When you're bowling, Matt, this with Jez, I'll look after field. Don't think of anything else. You just concentrate on bowl. I bowl 600 balls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sid Riaz bowled 1,200, and even to this day now, it's a massive regret, but I think I captained for 8 years and I did it nearly every year. So it was something that we're conscious. Jez did it. I remember once Jez, when he used to get 50 wickets a year for like 10 years on trot, the one year he captain, he got 12 wickets. And then you wonder why we're third to bottom.
Well,
because Jez because Jez was there lending, I can't remember who it was at the time, James Capstick, Paul Webb, all the people like that, bowling double the overs that Jez has bowled. And it's like, this is just bonkers. It's just bonkers. He's got 50 wickets with 4 years before Andy, got 4 years after it, and he got 12 wickets. I think in 2004, I got 5 wickets.
Yeah, there's two things on that when you talk about the professionalism and how much better the team was in 2004. I went back to 1990, put a lot of spare time.
I think that was your maybe debut.
Yeah, it potentially was. And I was looking at league positions. We finished 11th in 1990, 11th again, 11th, 10th, 13th. Then we had a bit of an upturn. We finished 6th, 4th. Then we finished 10th, 4th, 8th, 6th, 13th, 8th again. And then obviously we finished 5th in 2004. And would you say that the 2004 season was the start of the sort of really consistent period for the club in terms of performance and what they were looking to achieve?
No, that's what. It's really weird, and it's probably because it's 2004, and all I can remember was a cup.
Yeah.
So it's different, you know what I mean? And it's like, but looking back on it, and I've looked, and I've looked tonight, I've looked during the week. I can't remember half the league games.
It's funny, Jez and Joe said something similar, I think.
You know what I mean? But I can remember us plain as day, sat on outfield about 10:30 at 11 o'clock on 2nd of August, absolutely bricking my pants while Mark White were putting speaker up and playing music. But I can't remember Blazers 100 at Asdendon.
Can you not, really?
No, I can't.
Weird. I'm going to say there were a lot of games that year that I don't remember, league games. When I've been back and looked at it, we lost to Rottenstall twice. Rottenstall were the only team that did the double overs that year. Yeah. We beat everybody else at least once, and I can't remember either of those games against Rottenstall, whether it because we got 2 thumpings, but I don't remember either of them.
No, I can't even remember that getting ball out for 60 at Cong.
I can. I can, because if you remember, that was when Les got run out backing up off Connie. God rest his soul. Yeah.
Yeah, God rest his soul. Bloody hell.
Yeah, and then we only got 66, and then Matt Wilson came out and just did what Matt Wilson does from time to time and just teed off, and we were back in the bar 20 minutes later.
I remember that innings, but I didn't know that was us with him getting 50 and only chasing 60 odd.
Yeah. You've obviously mentioned the cup there. Do you remember each game forensically without even having to look it up?
Fairly, yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Obviously, final goes out quick without say. Semi-final, just as much. The Burnley game were brilliant. They were so confident. Sorry. That they just, the Johnny Clare, and that's the day of that big falling out with Johnny Clare.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. Talk us through it.
I was feeling at mid-on, and he were batting, and he hit the ball to me. So I raced round like a gazelle, picked it up one-handed, and he wanted a single. The lad at the other end said, no. So Johnny Clare said, effing hell, it's one to that fat get, openly. So I said, Johnny, you can't say that. With a few other expletives in it. 3 balls later, I'm bowling at him. He nicks one and full catches it, doesn't he? Oh, my God. Well, if he wouldn't have got a dressing room, I'd have still been following him now. And telling him what I thought. And I remember his mum were on the steps having a do at my mum, saying, your son shouldn't behave like that. So that's the memory. That's the game. That's when at Burnley and beating him was just great. And then who did we play? I can't remember the second round.
Colne at home.
I do. Andre Adams caught down leg side off Benbow with Tony Cotton. I do. Correct. Yes. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Things like that. You know what I mean? No one was more surprised than Charlie that he caught it. He weren't the one in that. He was a real catch. No, I remember that. And right. he was dangerous in, weren't he? He scored quite a lot of runs and quite quickly. But again, they got a decent total, didn't they? 200, something like that.
Just pull its scorecard up now.
I am now, yeah.
197, yeah, they got 197. And we won with nearly 10 overs to spare.
Yeah. I remember that knock of Fultz because I think they thought they were in it when they got Blaise out, and obviously Charlie came in and played a great knock as well, like semi-final and final. But no, I remember that one. And again, looking at that, there's 3, 6, 7 bowlers. Blaise bowled. Jesus, I don't know what happened that day. Jez only bowled 6. I only bowled 4. Sid bowled 10 overs for his 4.5 and over every game, but I still bowled him 10, 12 overs a game. I don't know what all that about, but anyhow, Jez has stood there scratching the bowling 6 overs of 13. Yeah, I remember that. I remember Fultz innings and I remember Charlie's catch. Yeah, and then
just throwing it forward. Last episode we did quite a bit on the 2002 semi-final. So we get to another final in 2004. I'll let you talk about the game as a whole, but obviously first half didn't go so well for us. But it definitely did feel different at half-time in 2004 than it did 2002. I'm not saying we were confident, because we obviously weren't, but it didn't feel as much of a lost cause in 2004 as what it did in 2002. Would you agree with that?
Massively. I think you're right, Joe. We weren't confident. There was certainly no confidence or arrogance in the dressing room. We tried to be positive, didn't we? But there was certainly no thinking this is a straw in the park because you're chasing 300. It isn't. But I think the bit more of the positivity in 2004 had come from the back of they should have got 370.
Yeah.
And they probably would have done if the little spinner didn't get. Say again?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Matt. If you remember, Peterson was smashing us everywhere, and it did look like this is going to be, a record score. We're not going to get near it. And for some, I've got the scorecard in front of me. For some reason, we got it back. Andy Barker got stumped, and obviously a fantastic off spinner, Joe Beneduccio, caught and bowled Peterson for a mere 148, and we clawed it back. I remember
we did massively.
Yeah, I remember that. And all of a sudden you're going into the dressing room and you're thinking, hang on, this is on now. It's still 310, but it's on, is this?
Yeah. I remember, and I'm sure you will as well, Joe, you'd got Peterson out. All right, your figures don't look fantastic, but you got Peterson out. But again, it was the old thing that you got him out, then 2 out at next 3 balls, something like that. Rob Green hit into park, didn't he?
The last over hit me for 21.
Did he? Is that what it were?
Right. Yeah.
Cracky, I didn't remember that. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I remember it. Looking at it, he got 24. Did that Rob Green?
Yeah.
Give a couple.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that classic thing as a captain. I mean, I probably got a wicket in the second to last over, so you left me on for the last over. But look at the bowling figures again. Fultz only bowled 7, Jez only bowled 5, Finchie only bowled 2. If I, I were only bowling because everybody else had gone the distance, weren't I? That was the thing, and only because I got a wicket fairly late on, you left me on. But obviously, in hindsight, it might have been better just to say, "Well done, get your coat, get your jumper off your pop." But it's easy to look back 15 years later.
Yeah. I don't think that weren't the last over of the game.
You don't think it were?
No, it weren't.
It must have been. Rob Green got 24 not out. I think it were. Anyway, it might rather the last or very, very near the end.
Because I thought we got Peterson out a bit earlier than that.
We might have. It might have been Barker. It might have been Andy Barker that was a later wicket.
Could have been. But you look at that again, and you look. But I can't answer it because I bet if you went through every season I was captain, and it's no disrespect to it's just the same bowler, 2 for 60 off 10. Jez 1 for 33, Fultz 1 for 42. That's probably bowling spell of my own. I remember more than anything that was best of ball for a long time. But then just looking at that, but anyhow, so I think the big thing were at Church. Mark Higgs just took us apart, and they carried on. The amateurs carried on. Where I think we stemmed them down a bit. So although we didn't go in as favourites or confident, we went in at a damn sight better frame of mind than we did in 2002.
Yeah.
And we were a significantly better side as well, probably, weren't we, in 2004? Our league position at the end of the season tells that story.
Yeah, massively, yeah. And again, Finch at the top 3, top 5, if you look at it. But 30 odd and two 30s from Finch and Fultz, then both getting out fairly closely together, if I remember rightly. Win 20 odd runs of each other. I'm thinking, oh Jesus, could have done with one of them staying in, but obviously then the rest is history with the way Blaise and Charlie battered. And I'll never forget that. And I did study this scorecard quite a lot in the early times after that. And there was something like 90% of balls in a 20 over spell between overs 20 and 40, they scored off them. And whether it ones and twos, obviously Blaise was considerably a lot younger then. Charlie's always been fit as a fiddle, and they just ran him to death.
Yeah.
But again, I think if that had been 2002 or earlier, when Blaise and Charlie got out, we'd have got beat.
Yeah, Matt, I agree 100%. And this is where I want to come on and put you on the spot a little bit. You look there, Blaise 91 balls for 107.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. He's got 40, 80 odd in boundaries, but they ran the socks off him.
Yeah.
And then you look at that same lad Green. I can't even remember who he is. Benbow's got 21 off. I don't know how many balls. You come in, you get out for 3. Can you remember that? What happened there?
Yeah.
I think what he's asking you, why you were batting above me. I think that's what he's asking you in a roundabout way.
I think if you look at one of the games in season, Joe, I opened, and that's where I should have batted. But anyhow, if I'd have hit it, it'd have landed on Spar car park. But I didn't hit it. I don't know. And then Joe, it was just one of them. I think, but both me and Joe were predominantly hit it straight. I'm a little bit more leg-sided than Joe's. And I just went in. I think I went in, and I just thought I was going to try and put 2 or 3 in park. Benbow had done something similar, but batted a little bit sensibly. He got out in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And I'd just gone in and just tried to put 2 or 3 in park and just get it over the line. And missed it, right? And Joe and Benny came in and did exactly what we needed. But whether that had been Joe or Ben, obviously too, Joe quite experienced then, Ben only a kid, Lowerhouse, if you will, fought like in the blood. We wouldn't have won that 3 or 4 years ago. No chance. If we did what we were there, 263 for 6, 283 for 7, in the semi-final, they did another 30. We'd have been 290 all out.
Yeah, and when you look at that, you're right, Matt. 252 for 5, and Charlie's gone, Blaise has gone. You know, Benbow has probably gone. Then I think you would have been out at that stage. You know, you'd have thrown your bat right across the ground. Probably broke a couple of windows as you came in, and then Joe and Ben have to go and pick up the pieces. I do. You know, that's where, you know, and I'm not taking anything away from Blaise or Charlie in this game and in the final, which we'll come on to. But there is other little points within the game that sway things. Yeah, there's the superstars, and yeah, there's things that happen, but there's little bits of things that, you know, Ben's run out of Knowles in the final, and little things that change games, which, yeah, you can train all you want, you can call it luck, or you can call it that habit, you know, like you just said, you know, 2002 and probably for a million years before then, it could have been, you know, unlucky Lowerhouse, things didn't go right. You know,
great effort.
Yeah, great effort, well played, never mind, let's have a pint and you can all go home. So, what did you feel like, Joe? Can you remember?
Just before that, Jez, it's quite funny. I've had the other side of the tale, fell it just before Christmas, from Maz Ahmed. Joe knows him. Joe gets all his clothes from him. He still
Where did you see him, Matt? Where did you see him?
Why did I see him? Because I went to get Blackburn Market, Maz's jeans, went to get my denim jacket. Is that all right?
Fine, carry on.
And my denim shirt with them press studs that kept popping open. But he says from the other side of it, Des, he said, like, he obviously he praises Blaise's innings, Charlie's innings. That's all he seemed to remember. But they were. He had none of the worries or thoughts or ideas that they were going to get, because he was captain. But when they were going to get beat,
yeah,
at half time,
yeah, he thought that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it was only when, probably in that 20 over spell, when Blaise and Charlie weren't scoring. Look, they only scored, Blaise, it's 4-6 as well. They only scored 14 forwards.
Yeah.
And they probably both battered, I bet, for 30 odd overs.
Yeah.
And he said it was in that period when them two just didn't look like that they were going to get out. That's the only time that they started to worry, but it was obviously too late because we got the momentum on our side then.
Yeah.
So, Matt, I don't know whether others want to discuss more about that game, but when you, after winning that game, it must have given you so much belief going into the final that one of my questions that I had written down was, I think I was tallying that day from memory,
right.
And my brother Paddy did the final, but I think I was tallying that day, and I can remember it being a really nice day. I can remember there being a really good wicket, and we bowled first. As we did in the final, and I can remember people thinking, or people wondering why we'd, after we'd conceded 300, why we'd bowl first. I don't know if that was part of the game plan.
In the final, why? Because
well, we won the toss and fielded both games.
Absolutely, yeah. Predominantly, but two reasons. One, they're professional. Who we'd had Mustafa pro, we'd played against him a couple of times, and he was one of them pros that I always thought of playing against him. No matter how many you get, he'll set his stall out to get them. If he's got to set your total, he has to do something different.
Yeah.
I haven't played against Peterson that much. I can't really remember why I stuck them in, but that was my thought process. I never remember that. It was Rothwell as his chairman.
Mark Rothwell, yeah.
Mark Rothwell walking right ground, 10 man with 2 rolls of carpet under his arm, saying, "That's it. They've stuck us in. Game over. Never stick someone in a cup final." But I felt when I was lifting cup, I couldn't find him. I didn't know where he'd gone.
Just on captaincy, I just want to ask you or make a point about captaincy in the cup final. I mean, we're all captain sides. You're making decisions even before the game starts. You're making 100 decisions a game. Most of them are quite insignificant, whether you're having your third man up or back or whatever. It's very rare you can look at a game and pinpoint the outcome of it on a captaincy decision. But in this game, your decision to bring Ben on possibly won us the match. Would you agree with that? I mean, obviously, there are a lot of other things that go with it. But again, like the semi-final, we would have been chasing a hell of a lot more had Ben not been introduced when he was and turned the game with the run out and then the wickets thereafter.
Yeah, I can remember it. I remember Jez fielding it mid-on or mid-off, and our shouts, "Ben, park end next over." And Jez actually said to me, "What the f are you doing?" And I just... Barry Knowles were in, Dearden were in, and anything that... They were just in through the line. It was a good track. It was short end to park. They were just hitting through the line. And I just thought, I'm just going to try someone that they might not have seen. And if it might have only been 2 overs, might have all backfired. But at that stage, I think we were going for 7 or 8 and over, whoever were bowling. It could have backfired and it could have gone for 10 or 15 and over. I just thought, I'm just going to try someone that they haven't seen.
Because he didn't bowl in the semi-final. He played and didn't bowl in the semi-final.
No, he didn't bowl a lot that year, to be fair.
No.
It was just, I don't know, it was just something. I don't know. It just a hunch, just a thought. But I was thinking, I need to do something different here. We've got our 5 or 6 bowlers. It wasn't an end to bring... Benbow couldn't bowl at that end to them 2. You couldn't have bowled at them 2, Joe. the way they were batting, the way they were hitting it. And I just thought something a little bit different. Jez had got the pro out bowling from pavilion end, Fultz bowl from pavilion end. I think I come on after Sid. And I didn't go around the park, but I remember I think they probably got a boundary and over for 2 or 3 overs. And my only thought on what it was, I need to do something different. I just got to try something different that they might not have seen.
And you know what, Matt? We just, you know, people talk about inspired captaincy and, you know, the things that change. I remember it. You remember you saying to me, my biggest concern then was you can't bowl from park end. But that is what had been ingrained into me right from Roger Bromley's days. You know, Stan will confirm that, you know, if Roger went anywhere near the park end, he used to come out in cold sweats.
Yeah.
Pros would never bowl from the park end. Certainly, you know, certainly mediocre pros or pros that didn't want to, you know, be part of the team. So I had that ingrained in me, thinking, Matt, what are you doing here? You know, I had some overs left then. I bowled 3 spells. You know, you look at Sid, he's only bowled 3 overs. He's been our main amateur bowler all season. And yet, and this is me thinking at the time, our captain's not going to bring him on when there's a bit of pressure on. He's bringing this young lad on at the really, you know, the difficult end to bowl at. But, you know, inspired captaincy. And it's like we said before, you know, it's... What did Stan used to call it? It's Jules de Creek that haunted our cricket ground. Well, all of a sudden, I think that one move might have just buried that, you know, that old adage that we were doomed all the time. And that moment that Ben tipped the ball onto the stumps, which ran, it was Barry Barry Knowles out. That's when it turned the tide. In fact, I think that's like, you know, I've only just thought about it now. That's what it did, because I didn't agree with you.
No, I know that, and I'd never been in that position, obviously, in a final before. It was something else, and you're right, Jez, about the whatever Gilles de Creek. What's he putting up now?
He's asking you to tell us who got their pro out and how.
I will do. Yeah, I will do. Yeah. And you know, when they say it's all cursed and we're never going to win anything, there must have been some horrible person buried a load of monks under the ground and all this that Stan used to come out with. But it was even better looking back at it now when the actual wicket, it weren't a great leg cutter or Yorker or a slower ball. I think the ball would have gone for 4.
Yeah.
If he hadn't caught his finger on it and knocked it onto stumps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that things like that do just change the momentum, don't they?
It changed the whole game.
It was Jez who got the pro, believe it or not. Stan caught Charlie Cotton in his groin area,
in his knees, yeah, definitely.
In his knees. When he nicked that seemed to go in slow motion. I don't remember that, Joe Martin. It were a great ball of Jez. It just left him left-hander. He nicked it, and he went in slow motion. He's like, "We've got him. He's only got 10, 15. We've got him.
Yeah.
We've got him." And then Charlie catches it with both feet off his ground.
Yeah, no.
And like he caught a beach ball. And everybody just jumped up and down. Charlie's got ball. It was just proper slow motion of how he'd done it, and it was just how he caught it. Yeah.
It was fantastic. And again, you know, Stan's mentioned earlier, you know, self-praise is no praise, but it was a fantastic little cutter. It was. He landed. What I will say though is, I don't know if anyone else has. You will have seen the research and done the research for how long? Have you seen my figures for that season?
Yeah, I've got them here.
Go on, Joe.
Jez bowled.
Batting first.
Batting. Jez, you got
innings?
4 runs, 8 innings. Average of
good average of half.
Good. 3 not 8, so it's an average of 1.75.
Average of 1.75.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
And then bowling, 109.5 overs, 12 wickets at 43.6.
You used to bowl them back end of April, Jez. We injured.
No, you didn't bowl me, you tosspot.
Does he bowling since he has?
One of the things that I think from that that was Jez's last year. I have another stat for Jez, which was who his last ever wicket was for in the first team at Lowerhouse. He can have a think about that if he wants. But in lots of
pro afterwards.
No,
his last amateur wicket.
Yeah, but in the seasons previous to that, Jez, I've commented it on before. The sheer amount of overs that you bowled for the cricket club, and then in 2004, your last year, you must not have been able to walk when you went to work on a Monday. It must have been incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I walk like I walk now. But no regrets, Joe. No regrets. It's all for a good cause.
Come on, Joe. Put us out of his misery. Who his last wicket?
His last wicket was Phil Sykes. 7, caught Blaise. Joe Beneducci in the league in 2004. You took 1 wicket.
All right, good.
Do you know who it was?
No.
Sean Lemon, caught and bowled.
Sean Lemon.
Caught and bowled. Yeah, good player. That's what I thought when I saw it. Yeah, I've written a lot of stats down, but let's talk. Should we talk about the batting innings of 2000 of the cup final?
Yeah, definitely. Again, we went in at the interval, not confident. I think we'd done a good job. 231, I think, was probably a touch below par. Good track, nice day, and that top 5, 6, or 7 that we had, fairly confident. One of them had to go on and get a good one. We lost Finchy and Vishal early doors. Oh, it's a bit of a worry. Fultz come in and played like Fultz does. Always seem to get out to the most innocuous bowler. You know what I mean? And then Blaise and Charlie. I think that's probably the best partnership. Better than the semi-final. It was, again, if you look at that one, they even less boundaries, 11 fours apiece and 1 6, and they did exactly the same as they did in semi-final. Again, I think there were 25 overs in middle of the innings.
Yeah.
Well, Haslingden probably thought they were on top, but they were scoring 5 and 6 and over.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mushtab has gone none for 40.
Yeah.
Off 10, and he was a great bowler. And they just, I can't remember. I'm sure I looked how many times they hit him for boundary. Blaise reckons it were 1 or 2 in the 10 overs, but they just 1, 2. Obviously, Charlie were like bloody whip it, weren't they? Still is. And Blaise were how many years ago? 16 years ago. So he would have been 60 then, wouldn't he? So he was a lot younger. And he's always been a fit lad, hasn't he? So, but that was just great. And the good thing about that, not the good thing for Charlie, because it'd have been great for them two to both walk out, not out. When he was out, I wasn't anywhere near as concerned as I was when them two were out in semi-final. And to answer your question, Jez, you put it, I think, either on email or on WhatsApp. You're looking at there that Blaise and then Ben went in and battled with Jez, and it's got me down as next to bat. There's not sure I weren't going in next.
Well, there's also not sure you didn't get me to get my pads on after that.
No.
Our having kittens in changing room. I mean, it was only a very short spell of time, but I was padded up, and I remember never having felt fear like that. Absolutely. And we only needed single figures. But I just thought, if I have to go in now, I don't know if I'll be able to hold bat.
I'm exactly the same. And I didn't have my pads on.
Because it was pitch black as well by that stage.
It wasn't
pitch black, but it was dark.
Joe, yeah, if you think there, it was an extraordinary hot afternoon. Clearly going to be some sort of storms at some stage. The forecast kept changing as to when they were going to come, when they weren't going to come. And I think as he realised that they'd slipped up, as you said, Matt, with letting Charlie and Blaise get the 4, 5, 6 and over without really pushing the score along. And then the clouds sort of rolled over, but it wasn't that cloudy, but you could tell it was going to rain, and Deard had started bowling bouncers.
Yeah.
You remember that, man? And he was just bowling, and the umpires were telling him you can't do that, but he continued to bowl them. And Blaise, I think twice he did it, he just like uppercut it. And where he uppercut it and it went. I think one went for 6 and one went for 4 into the park, and then we actually came off for rain, and we're all like putting the covers on. But I don't think it was as hard as we expected it to be,
or certainly for any length of time.
Yeah. But it's got pitch black. It's more difficult. And again, I don't know if that Jules de Crete were kicking in. We're thinking, oh, this is all against us. But, Haslingden, a little bit more professional than us. It's a wet ball. They weren't up for it when they came back. They wanted to go off.
I remember twice. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Barry Knowles. We're fielding at long on in front of dressing rooms.
Yeah.
And 2 straight 4s got it.
Yeah.
And as the ball had hit the boundary or the sight screen, he starts running all the way, trying to think he can't see it.
Yeah, that's right.
But I remember, and good on them, because I wouldn't put them down as the 2 strong umpires, but the 2 umpires were really strong that day.
Wait, Rutter
and that
Alan Fenwick.
Fenwick. And they were really strong, like they said about Dearden. Because Haslingden, when we come off for rain, I know it didn't rain for long or for very heavy, but they were coming back now after.
Yeah, that's what they were after.
That shadow of a day, that's all they wanted. Are they to spoil our party?
Yeah.
Because it was still massively in our favour at that time, but obviously Blaise and Charlie had to start again. It'd have been a different thing. There'd been hardly any crowd on. But all credit to the umpires to get straight back out. Obviously, finish the game that night. It's probably a good job they did. I remember having a conversation. It's probably a good job they did go back out that night, because I don't think I'd have been there to pick Cup up.
No,
I think there'd probably been a police car coming through, because one of them umpires would have. Yeah, because I remember it was brilliant. They just said, no, we're going back out. It's fit. Come on, we've played it for 10 overs. We're going back out.
Good.
So, I watched the video of it last night as my final bit of research on it. And during this lockdown, actually, I've watched quite a lot of the Lowerhouse videos of when we've won stuff, just to try and jog my memory. But I watched that one last night. As Blaise sort of rocked back and hit that last boundary, what were your immediate thoughts in that? Because I can remember mine running onto the ground. But what were you thinking at the time?
I don't know. I also don't know. It was probably about 15 minutes after when it started to sink in and hit home. I think relief, probably, when it that winning run. I don't have to go put my pads on. Probably. And I can't believe what we've just done.
Yeah.
As much as anything. And then when it calmed down and we're in the dressing room and outside with the drinks, the champagne and families and stuff like that, that's when it hit all. But I think it was more, I can't believe what's just happened. You know what I mean? Obviously, elation and stuff like that, but majority of it was like, oh my God, what have we just done? And everybody always says all the time, don't they? Well, what was celebration like afterwards? What time did that go on to and everything else like that? But we had a couple of shandies, but it was nothing. Everyone was just exhausted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, don't get wrong. Benbow still woke up on my settee and part of cup in living room, stuff like that. So it was a good night, but it was nothing like you would have thought. If you thought, well, we're going to go out and win the first trophy for the club in 125 years, it's going to be a party to end all parties. But nothing like that.
No.
Phil Haggerty had quite a raucous celebration, didn't he?
He did, yeah, he did, didn't he? That flaming Benbow.
He set his face on fire. You're having a like it must have been, what is it, Sambuca or something like that, and he
like that, yeah.
Tiffer were getting him to light it as he were drinking it, and he's lit it, spit it out. It's gone on his face, and his face just went in flames.
It's when you think, Matt, you're looking. It's 142 years now. That's why it meant so much to people. That's why other people can mock. We've been the whipping boys, and other clubs have thought that they're not worthy. And I include some of the big clubs that we've just mentioned. So that it was the monkeys off the back, and and I have no doubt that is why it kick-started it. We've got great people behind the scenes. Then, we've got a good side. People move to one side, and then maybe come back, and you get the junior section going through Stan, you get Matt Stanley, going alongside Dave Wren and helping out with the future of the club. And that, I have no doubt, that was the final foundation block that built what we've got now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I've said this to you before, but we certainly wouldn't have done what we did in 2005 without 2004. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting period then came in the 3 or 4 years after that, because you think with the cup win and the league win under our belts, immediately we'd kick on and go and be really dominant.
Yeah.
But we weren't, and obviously we've chatted about topics for future discussions, and we're gonna get into that period and have a look at what happened there and why that was. We've probably been on far too long already, but I don't know. Jez, have you got a couple of other bits about the league in 2004? I was just going to say about Fultz's stats. That was an interesting one, wasn't it? We were talking earlier on about perhaps why we didn't, after a great start, why we didn't kick on in the league. There was a stat on the Lancashire League website, the 21st of June, that Fultz had 742 runs in all competitions on the 21st of June.
Yeah.
June. And he only finished, June.
Yeah.
And he finished with 857 in the league. Now, they're not apples and apples, them figures, because the 742 included some cup runs. But to be on 742 on 21st of June and only end up with 857 in the league is a pretty spectacular drop-off. I don't know that. Maybe how many because you bowled him into ground, probably. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. I just looked at it. He got 1,034 runs in all competitions that year.
Right. He only got 300 from 21st of June to finish playing in all them games.
Yeah.
I don't know, Matt. I don't know. Again, it's all right looking back at stats, and you can work things out. And this is why, international teams and county sides have statisticians as they go through the season. But we definitely, every year that we research for this podcast, there is definitely a pattern of when you're going well, you continue to go, as Boris would say, the curve is going up. And then all of a sudden something happens, and it might be someone gets injured, or it might be, a bit of bad luck, or people unavailable. And also, once you start going down, we don't address that quickly enough. Or we didn't then. I don't know if they are at the moment. I've not studied that. But we did go through the stages of Fultz getting wickets, bowling lots of overs for not so many runs, and all of a sudden we'd get beaten, and it could all go to ration.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight though, doesn't it, Jez? I think we've gone from probably a bit earlier than 2002, to be fair, Joe Martin, back in late 90s, when we've struggled, like when Stan mentioned something about some of the players that had played that, with no disrespect to them, wouldn't have played. You don't go from being a side like that, Jez, using 25, 30 players, 5 or 6 people playing once, to being a good, professionally run team overnight. And I think we went through that probably early. It probably was starting 2002, 2003. Jack Rudolph came over. All right, he was very young, but he came over with a bit more of a. The five centuries got people talking about us and a bit like that. And I think we had a decent run under Jacks for a period of the season. And then I think, let's say, Fincher coming in 2003. I think Kuala came in 2003. And you're right, coming through 2003. Did we have Ryan Harris? Did we have Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, we signed those 3 players before the season and Ryan Harris.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's quite an injection in it, that.
Yeah. Did Ryan not... is that not the year he had to go home because of his mum?
No, his mum was much later. No, he did go home early, but that wasn't because of his mum.
Right.
I think it was just because of his commitments.
Yeah. Again, that's why it probably was a start, and those people. And Ryan, you can't. Everybody asks who's best boy he's played with, who's best boy he played against, etc. And him and Andrew MacDonald, not just because of the undoubted ability of cricketers, but everything else. And I'm not saying that it's the beer, because Andrew MacDonald came out with us, but he wasn't a big drinker. a few times he fell asleep in park, didn't he? And he had to walk home, and Keel had to come and get him and stuff like that. So it wasn't, but he was there. He was one of the lads but on the field, he would beat his mum at a game of Tiddlywinks, weren't he? He was just absolutely all over it. And I think a lot of that came in, and we had the right side, the right calibre of players, the right mental attitude to take it on board. Because we've had them before, haven't we? Cameron Williamson, probably the first pro I played quite a bit with. He was just like Andrew and Ryan, so committed, so professional, and sat everybody down and had meetings, Jez with captain meetings. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. But we just weren't good enough. 6 or 7 of them just weren't good enough. Whereas when we got into the Ryans, the Andrew McDonalds, and Francois, when he came over when he was professional, we had the players that were good enough to do what the pro was asking you. And I think that was over a period of time. And when obviously those, like say, Sid didn't play anymore, QL didn't last long, Cameron Fruit didn't last long. We were then moving into with it probably that more, but then the likes of Matt Walker, or they were a bit young then, or was it? Did we have?
Much later. Yeah.
So I wonder if that's where we had a bit of a lull after 2005, with a 2 or 3 year lull, did we? Until the likes of Johnny, Joe, Paddy, Matt Walker,
Joe
Hawke came in. It'd be interesting to look at the side in 2007, 2008 then. I played in 2006, I think.
You did, yeah. You did play in 2006.
Who were pro in 2006?
Ryan. But that's the year that he had to go home early because of his mum.
Right.
And if you remember, the season ended it didn't end, but we were right involved in the league until we got hammered by Baker at home when Chris Cairns got 100 and a lot.
Right, was right.
And then
did Ryan play quite a lot after that?
Yeah.
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 Right, and was Brendan Drew 2007 then?
Yeah.
No. 2008, Drew.
Oh, right.
O'Brien was 2007.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Right, yeah, that's why I played for a couple of years after that. Then, yeah.
Anyway, Matt, Todd had a pro called Panda.
Gayan Pandey.
Yeah, he was horrible.
About him.
I didn't really fall out with him. He probably A, couldn't understand what I said to him. B, couldn't say anything back to me, but he had horrible eyes. And he was like a bit like that Muley Kartik from Rami, another one. And he was always one of them. There's nothing worse that you're bowling at him, you're trying your little testicles off, and it's for a great shot. You don't have to run.
Oh, he did that thing, didn't he, where he slid his bat in? Yeah.
He runs past you and you follow through and taps his bat in at non-striker's end.
So what did you say to him?
I can't really repeat it on here, Jez, but it weren't that nice.
Bleep it. You can.
You want to be racist, were you?
No, it wasn't. There was quite a lot of expletives in it, and I did mention his eyes. His eyes were horrible.
I think he got a century against us that year, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure he got runs against us.
It was so. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines. I'll poke those effing eyes out if you walk past me and tap your bat in that end again. So he carried on doing it because he hadn't got a clue what I'd said.
No.
That's quite accurate as to what you said, because I wasn't mid-off. But he was about 23 when you said it, and we'd got 205 for 6, thought we'd done a great job, and he went on to get 106, and they knocked him off with about 3 overs to spare.
Yeah, but it was eyes. I just couldn't do his eyes.
I want to mention the game from 2004 to big Frankie Entwistle up. It was a game after the cup final, and you won't be surprised to learn that Matt and Jez both didn't play. I think they both tossed it off after we'd won cup final. Didn't bother playing meaningless games against Enfield at home. But looking at the card, Fulton, 24 overs. Ouch. We Barfiston got 176. Blaise got 71. And they were absolutely coasting. Peterson, 80. And then he chipped one up in the air when they just did not need to play a rash shot, and he just whacked one straight up in the air. And then we got a couple of wickets, stayed in the game, but they needed something like 2 off the last over, and with 2 balls to go, scores were tied, and they were only 8 wickets down. And Frank Entwistle ran the last 2 Enfield batsmen out from wicketkeeper with his one glove off, threw stumps down for both of the last 2 wickets. And so from looking like getting absolutely nothing, we actually got 9 points. I love a tie when you get 9 points. It's brilliant. It's almost as good as a win. But Frankie felt like he'd done that. He got us them points on his own from nowhere. It was one of my favourite games.
What day was that? August, was it? It was
21st of August, Saturday.
Oh, I think we said we were injured, Jez. We were not at ADOT.
I think it was the ADOT meeting, yeah.
Exactly.
We played Burnley day after, and you played then. So I don't know. It must have just been, after the Lord Mayor show.
I didn't play at Burnley day after, Joe.
No, Jez did. I think you were injured, mate. I've got it in my head that you were injured.
I never got injured.
Any other stories like that, Matt? Funny stories?
I'll never forget there were that sticks in my mind. The Accrington one, I know you've talked about that with Jack Rudolph. I remember the one time you were really, 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 really mad at me, Jez. We were playing, I'd like to see the scorecard, and I think there were me and you, and then I think Blaise played, but I think then it were people like Ann Cochran played, Maureen Stansfields. There were a few others like that, and there were 2 blokes walking past, and we just got them to play. I think it was the day that me and Stan, it might have been similar time, me and Stan had a bit of a to-do in selection, and I wanted to pick Gary Morehouse, who hadn't played for a couple of years, because we're just a field. Because I think we'd Matt Stanley inside, Gav inside, other people like that. And Stan said, you can't, Matt, you can't. It's just absolutely ludicrous. You cannot do it. It's not fair to Mark Campbell. So Mark Campbell played and broke his finger at warm-up dropping a catch. I think it was that long. And it was well before that. It was poor era, poor side. I don't think with a steady pro. Claude Henderson did quite a few games for us. And I think I'd been out for a couple of pints night before we played Todd at home. And we've got Mustafa. We've played against a couple of times, but it was quite a while ago, so I don't really know what he was good, how good he was. And I turned up, and Jez is in the dressing room there, early doors, polishing his boots, and I've turned up, sat next to him, probably stink to high heaven of lemonade. And he's not happy at all, Jez. He's really, really mad at me, because there's probably only me, him, and Blaise that have played a lot of first team. He said, anyhow, with a new pro, will you go and get out there and introduce yourself to him and see what he wants to do? So it gets changed, and I bottles out off. I was captain, but he's my big brother, so off I pops, and I go out onto the pitch. And I was still pissed. I comes back in, Jess said, what does he want to do? I said, I don't know, but he's got really hairy ears. And Jez just threw his thing down on his top floor and just walked out disgusted. I must have got 9 for 100, and we won.
Yeah, I've got the scorecard up here. Our team, Matt, was Swifty, Mustafa,
right.
John Proctor, Frank, Jez batted at 5, Dooch, you, Johnny Russell, Matt Stanley, Mark Campbell,
and,
what was that game then?
And Gav. And that was the batting order. Swifty and Asif Mustafa were open batting. Swifty got 30.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was definitely that game, because me and Stan are definitely, because Stan, you can't do it, mate. Gary hadn't played for 3 or 4 years. I'd spoke to Gary and said, will you just come and field? He said, I will do. He said, I'm not very bothered about it. He said, but I will do. But Stan, and probably rightly so, because if I'd have been Mark Campbell, I'd have gone absolutely, I wouldn't have been happy. But it was like the 5th one in from the second, so it wasn't as if he were having a storming season in the seconds and deserved his opportunity. It was like the 5th best of the seconds, if you will. And the other great one is going back a long time. This and Express Cup at Nelson. It was something we absolutely hated. We hated it, and we had Sean Flegler as pro. So it's probably I would have been about 22, 23. So 93, 94, something like that, 94, 95. And we didn't want to play. It's 2 games, or potentially 2 games if you win it. And we're just like, what are we doing here? I think we played Saturday, Sunday, bank holiday Monday. With a bit of a mishmash team. So we turns up at Nelson. It was well before you had 2 bags, one for your pads, one for your gloves, and one for your boots. You had a bag, and that's all you had. Jess turns up with his first game. And I think we were playing first, and we sat on the balcony, and Jez was sat there. He's got his pumps on, his whites on, and his pumps. I said, Jez, what are you doing? He said, I'm not bowling, Matt. There's no chance I'm not bowling today. Not a prayer. He said, I think he probably bowled 50 overs.
I had bowled 25 overs Saturday, 25 overs Sunday, and this was a bank holiday Monday.
Yeah, and you could bowl 4 overs each team. But he said, Matt, I'm not bowling. There's no chance I'm not bowling. So I've got my pumps on. He said, and anyhow, he said, it weren't that. He said, I could either fit 4 cans of bitter or my boots in my bag. And I brought 4 cans of bitter. We ended up winning it, didn't we?
Yeah, that was the game where the
Rudra Singh,
the Burnley pro, 2-2, easy 2.
Oh shit! And that we won it, didn't we? We got done for being disrespectful because Fleg's bowl was him, isn't it? Bowl left arm seamers.
Yeah.
Who did you get done off?
Nelson committee for not taking it serious. Gary Morrison, we've just won it. So I think Gary said something. I think they'd asked him, why did you pro? But why did you pro? I think he only bowled in 1 game, Flags. He said, why did you bowl left arm seam? So we'll play against Nelson next week, and we didn't want him to see what his action were like.
Good answer.
Yeah, so we got done for being. They weren't happy with Nelson lot for being disrespectful.
Yeah, memories, Matt.
Yeah. Well, there's lots. The better, the funnier memory days are the older ones, aren't they? Because we got better, didn't we? We did get better, and I'm sure Stan can go back to darker days than I can go back to. But some of the funny stories, the 9 times out of 10 involve Stan. That book he had was just hilarious, because if he wants to talk about elaborating the truth, that book, it was all based on fact, but there weren't many other things in there that were factual, but it was absolutely hilarious. And I can remember, can we just let Stan in 1 sec?
Yeah, sure.
Bring him in.
Stan, one of my first memories, and I don't know how old I'll have been here, but we had either the presentation or some sort of club do at Rosal House.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And you read that book out.
End of season. I've still got those books. End of season presentation. It was
Fantastic.
Was it? What year would that have been, do you think?
I can't be sure. David Heyman played that year for us.
But that would have been
early 90s.
89, 90. If Dave Heyman, because I made my debut when Dave Heyman didn't turn up.
Because if you were unfortunate enough to get a lift to an away ground with David Heyman after he'd been to an acid house party,
an acid house party.
First and foremost, you were grateful you got there, but you got GB up to the eardrums from his acid house music, if I'm using the right phraseology. I was more of a heavy metal man myself.
But it must have been that year, Stan, because that's when I made my debut. Because I was...
Dave Heyman played for us in 89, 90 and 91.
He had a habit of getting pros out as well, did David?
What year did we have Delroy Morgan?
90?
Or 89?
90.
Well, that was the year. Because it was quite good with that. My early life in Lancashire League cricket. I remember my debut. I come back from holiday with, I think it was Penny, Ryan, people like that. We've been to my uncle's caravan in Chelsea, and we got back a bit early. Penny's dad drove all the way down.
Glamour.
You what?
The glamour of it.
Absolutely.
You've been to a caravan.
Yeah, I think it was good, nightlife. Penny's dad drove down and picked us up. And we got back a bit early, so I went down to the club to watch the seconds. I weren't playing because they didn't think we were back from holiday. And I ended up with a phone call. Dave Eamon had turned up away at Aslington. Can we have one at seconds? So Rusty with the captain. He said, well, Matt's here. We've started. Matt's here now. He'll come over. So someone come and pick me up. I went straight over. Borrowed kit. Again, nothing with mine. I was a little bit slimmer in them days. So I borrowed kit. And I went out to bat. Mike Whitney was there, pro. So the first ball I faced in first team, I were out. The first ball I bowled was a wide. And first catch that come to me, I dropped it.
So will you ever play it again, Matt?
Absolutely.
So thank you both very much for your time.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks again.
No, when will this go? When will this go live? I've already sold 4 copies. When can I get this?
It will be.
Depends on Adam.
Gordon, send more house to save the house. Come on, the house!
That's a hell of a story, you know, when he let go of his bat.
Yeah.
Can I tell it?
Of course you
Go on,
can.
then.
Right. He comes, as was rightly said the other night, to practice. Kept watching us a few times, and somebody came up to me and said, there's a lad down there who wants to play for us. So I go down, in the broadest Jamaican, I think they call it patois, in the most broadest you've ever heard. Couldn't tell the word he said, but fortunately he repeated the last word 3 times every time. So he comes to practice. We think he's a bowler, but he can hit it. And that practice night, they're doing skied catches. And he's catching them in front of the Park boundary with one hand. Anyway, we pick him for the third 11. I go around to pick him up from his flat, because it's his first game, so we'll make him welcome. Pick him for the third 11, and there's this massive smell of unlawful substances wafting out of his flat window. So he got the hard word. Next time I'm coming to pick you up, don't embarrass me by smoking weed. Anyway, before he can play for the thirds, the seconds are short and he gets drafted in. Goes out to bat at number 7, wicketkeeper stood up, faces this ball, goes to hit it down to long leg, lets go of the bat, which hits the keeper, but it's like a glancing blow. The bat flies down to long leg, who starts chasing the bat, obviously, instantaneously, thinking it's the ball, but the keeper's held on to the ball. But the keeper's concussed. So he's about 3 yards back from the wicket, staggering around. The fielders are shouting, stump him, and Greg Brown's gone for a single. Chris Haskins at the other end says, get back. So he sticks his toe in as the keeper collapses onto the wickets to try and stump him. And Greg says, safe, man, safe. The Ramsbottom captain is at mid-on. There's a pause for us outside the changing room. And then even I burst out laughing because it was so ridiculous. And as it died down, their captain at mid-on said, fucking hell, he said, and he's number 7. What's coming now?